It's Saturday, July 8th, 2023. I'm TC Kirkham, and this is the Kirkham Report.
TC Kirkham. Report.
Hey everyone, TC Kirkham here, the Kirkham Report on TKR Video Central. Thank you for joining me. Sorry I missed last week. Things have been going crazy the last couple of weeks at work. We have a new law in place that's causing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm a state worker and it's affecting me. My schedules are all screwed up and I have been working my butt off, so it's been crazy. That's why a lot of this stuff took off this week, but it will be back next week, and including a new show, and I hope that you'll check it out. But in the meantime, let's not waste any time. Let's get right to this week's cover story. Have you heard the remake of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire by punk pop band Fall Out Boy yet? Chances are good if you haven't heard the song, you've heard the controversy. A lot of people have been coming out slamming on the remake of the song by Pete Wentz and company, demanding to know why they took a great song and trashed it. A few other people think they made it better. A lot of critics who didn't like the song that well anyway are kind of ambivalent. But I can see the point being made. I went back and looked at the original song and looked at the remake. And on first hearing, I liked the remake quite well, and it has been added to the playlist here at TKR. But there are things wrong with it, and people have a right to be upset about some things. People complain, number one, that there's too much pop culture in the remake, which updates the lyrics to events that have happened between 1989, the end of the original song, and the present day. There are a lot of pop culture references in this, and some of them are going to go right over the heads of people in 30 years, but Billy Joel risked the same thing, bringing up things that don't normally get mentioned in today's society, like great movies like Lawrence of Arabia and Bridge over the River Kwai. He also brought up Marilyn Monroe, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, or Beatlemania, and a number of other things over the years that had happened during his lifetime. The big crime, as it were, with the remake is that it's not in chronological order. Billy Joel's original song, which Joel has incidentally since slammed on, he did not in later years like the musicality of the song that he came up with, even though it did hit number one. All of Joel's stuff was in chronological order, starting in the year he was born, 1948, I believe, going through 1987 when he was recording. Everything is in mostly chronological order. There's one or two questionable things on the list, but nothing like this one. Pete Wentz and company wanted to bring it up to date, and they did that. A lot of current stuff. Problem is, they didn't do it in chronological order. It's hard to say when it's this early in the morning. And they didn't bring up a lot of things. In fact, they skipped a lot that they could have brought up. They didn't mention the coronavirus pandemic. They didn't mention the rise and fall of Bill and Hillary Clinton. They didn't mention a number of passings or a number of major milestones in entertainment the way Joel did. There was no mention of The Lord of the Rings winning 13 Academy Awards, and yet they thought it well enough to bring up other cultural, pop culture reference points like Kanye West, Taylor Swift, and shows like Pokemon, Stranger Things, Twilight, and the Harry Potter movies. Now, while most of those are probably going to be relevant and will probably be historical in 30 years, I kind of doubt, in honesty, that Twilight is going to hold up the way Harry Potter did, or Pokemon, which is now in its third decade of entertaining people. Taylor Swift probably will continue to entertain, but I don't know that there'll be a reference to Kanye that much, especially after the last couple of years and his erratic behavior. I also wonder why they picked the events they picked and why they decided not to mention things they didn't. One thing that bothered me was the very end of the song where they referenced 9/11. I would have personally went with a different phrasing, but they chose to end the song with World Trade second plane rather than 9/11 four planes, which I think would have been a lot more appropriate because it would have also included the Pentagon and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But overall, the song isn't that bad. They did a good job. They did bring up some stuff that nobody's going to really realize. Unless you're really politically aware, nobody's going to know what Cambridge Analytica is. No one's going to remember the ship stuck in the Suez Canal for 14 days. There are a lot of things here that probably could have been replaced with more relevant stuff. And it would have been helpful if they put it in chronological order. But all told, it's actually not a bad remake. In fact, some people, the TikTok generation, think it's even better. Maybe that's because they think erratically anyway, some people, not being so linear because they're used to the shorter attention span. But for me, I don't see anything wrong with a remake. I think what they did bring up, and they did reference some real heavy-hitting stuff, was a good starting point. Somebody wants to try and rearrange it so they can get the rhyming right and get it in chronological order, I'd tell them to give it a shot. They might do a better job, they might not. But I think people are just dissing on the song just to be dissing on Fall Out Boy, who has one of the largest hater communities on the internet. I have never figured out why. I always found them to be quite a talented band, particularly loving Centuries, Uma Thurman, and a few of the others that came off of the album that also included my song Saw What You Did in the Dark. I think that was the name of it. I like them immensely, and I think they made a valiant effort. I don't think it was perfect. I think it could have been better, but I do think that they tried, and that's what counts. It's historical perspective, there we go, for the 21st century, whereas, I mean, two of the biggest events of the 20th and 21st centuries weren't referenced: the fall of the Berlin Wall and the fall of communism in Russia. But, you know, sacrificing that for deep fakes and stuff like that may not have been the wisest choice. But at least they tried. Can anyone else say otherwise, other than parodies? I don't think so. Give it a chance. Give it a listen. It's not terrible. It could be better. And overall, I think they did okay. And that's this week's cover story. One of the big reasons I didn't do a show last week is I just haven't been buying a lot. I haven't had a lot to show off. Been saving money, paying bills, and saving a little bit on the side for a couple of other things I want to do later in the year or next year. But I have made a few purchases from Dawn and Mary via their Whatnot auctions. In addition to appearing with Cajun Roots Reseller on Wednesdays, and Deal of the Dawns, which is moving over to Dawn Southern Finds channel this month. They have also started a Whatnot auction. It is every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. on Whatnot, primarily doing 45s, but also occasionally CDs. And I picked up some interesting stuff because I thought they would be great additions to my collection, and I could use them later ways. And also because of the fact that I do have a couple of these in different forms, like this first one. This first one is actually an EP released in 1987. No, 1978. Oh wow, I didn't know it was that old. I have the album, which some of this comes from, and it is really fantastic. It's an artist named Michael Hoenig, or Hoenig, however you pronounce it. This EP is from his album Departures from the Northern Wasteland, and it includes, it is a Warner Brothers release on a classic 33 RPM sized for this, and it includes 4 tracks or excerpts from the album itself: Departure from the Northern Wasteland, and excerpts from Hanging Garden, Transfer, and Sun and Moon, which are also from this album. It is a promo, it's not for sale. I got a very good price on it from Don and Mary, and I am very happy to add it to my collection. Michael Hoenig, and music from Departures from the Northern Wasteland. This one, I had never heard this until they played it, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, this is Bonnie Pointer's first solo single. It came out from the same album that Heaven Must Have Sent You was released off of in 1978. It's red vinyl on Motown. The song is Free Me From My Freedom, Tie Me to a Tree, Handcuff Me. What? This I believe is also a promo because it's got the same song on both sides. Not sure. I was listening to this song, and I'm like, oh my God, talk about setting back the Me Too movement by 15,000 years. I don't know what went through Ms. Pointer's head when she recorded this back in 1978. It is not the smartest thing I would have ever done. But it is definitely a novelty, and it was a chart hit, so it will be making its way to Obscuria in the not too distant future, so everybody can hear it. Bonnie Pointer and Free Me From My Freedom, Tie Me to a Tree, Handcuff Me. This one I picked up because of the artist, and also because of this cool original label sleeve that it came with. Anybody else remember Paul Evans? He had one really big hit in the late 1950s or early 1960s called Seven Little Girls Sitting in the Back Seat. The subtitle, Kissing and Hugging with Fred. That's the one I remember by him. And this one, I don't know. I didn't know until they played it. And it's very rockabilly, and I actually kind of liked it. It is, the A side is Hush-a-Bye Little Guitar, and the B side, Blind Boy. I'm not even sure it's the same Paul Evans, but it sounds like him. And the cool thing is, I don't have anything on the Guaranteed record label. That's totally new to me. But what was really cool was this custom sleeve, which implores you to join the Paul Evans fan club. That is something you don't see every day. And especially given the time frame of this, which, I mean, let me see if Dawn wrote it on the white sleeve. She usually does. Nope, she doesn't have the year and stuff listed on this one, but I would say a year or two within that last big hit he had. So that's a very cool thing. Finally, I got this. I'd never heard this, and I liked what I heard. It was very cool. It's on Event Records. A song called Pepperbox and Pinch of Salt by a group called The Peppers. 1973. Very funky and very theme song sounding. So it will probably show up as a theme song at some point on one of my shows or one of my outings. Very Soul Train feel to it, and I'm actually surprised it wasn't the theme from Soul Train. So those 4 singles are all I purchased in the last week. I did get some playbills from Don and Mary from the Ohio area. They were like from summer stock theater and stuff. I didn't know if you would be interested, so if you'd like to see them, please let me know and I will show them next week. But they were all kinds of great shows, and they were from the 1970s and 80s. I picked them up mostly because 2 or 3 of them featured Vincent Price, who my wife is a huge fan of, and she really enjoyed looking through those. Pia Zadora also makes an appearance in one of them, what must have been a very early performance in her adult career. She was, of course, a child star in Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, but these are from pre-Butterfly, which was 1981, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty interesting, too. They were all great, so if you'd like to see those, let me know. And that's going to do it for Don and Mary's auction acquisitions for this week. I want to thank everybody for indulging me last week. I have started this new schedule at work. I work for the Department of Transportation here in the state of Massachusetts, and a new law has affected some of the way parts of our department operates, and I am a troubleshooter for that department, and so I have been on call. I was working late shift this week, which for me is until 6 p.m. I usually get off at 5:30, and I will be working full shifts every other Saturday instead of half shifts every 5th Saturday. So it's really biting into what I do. I'm still trying to maneuver around it, and we'll figure it out over the next week. I did want to bring up, number one, thank you so much for your support for Label Nova. I've gotten so many great emails and comments about this show. I really appreciate when I miss something that you let me know. I got a great letter from one of my regular viewers, Don Christopherson. I'm not sure how you pronounce your last name, Don. I'm sorry. Pointing out that I had missed Rubicon on the top 40 list on the for 20th Century Records last time. I did indeed, and I also had ones that I knew that I had included in the show notes, so I make any corrections in the show notes. I also have been leaving it up to the viewers to select the next label, and so this coming Friday we will tackle Private Stock Records, owned by Larry Udall. They had one major star in Frankie Valli and a few other hit singles from other people, and we will talk about that. I have been doing meticulous research because I could tell it was going to win from day one. It was way ahead of the other three. So I've already done most of the research, and now I got to get the music together. I want to talk in particular about one of their artists that I've talked about on another show, and lead you to another show rabbit hole to fall into with this guy named Peter Limongello, so you'll be want to watch for that next week also. I'm also getting ready to launch a new show. I wanted to come up with a decent, fun replacement for Rank This. As much as I enjoy ranking the top 40, I find I don't like ranking artists that much or stuff like that. So I'm going to do it every now and then, but not very often. So what I came up with was the Kirkham Report. My show and everything about me is centered around the Kirkham Report charts, which started in 1978. But I have, at the time, I went back and made a list of all my number one songs starting the first week in January 1970, right on through to where the chart started in 1978. So coming up this Thursday, replacing Rank This will be flashback tracks. Oh, say that 5 times fast. And what it's going to be is a year each show all the number ones from the Kirkham Report charts in chronological order. You'll see stuff that you've never heard of hit number one. You'll see big hits hit number one that didn't hit number one nationally. You'll see all kinds of cool stuff, and it's all based in my own personal charts. So don't get confused. It's not the Billboard charts. And as I said, we are going to come back. This is what we had originally titled Through the Years. And I will eventually, I think just to be different because nobody's done it, when I do get into doing the other stuff, because I'm going to run out of stuff to do in 1993 until I get the Missing Years project done, I will probably transition the show that at that point to start doing the top 30 or the number one hits over the years from Cashbox or Record World or Radio and Records. One of the ones that hasn't been done. Billboard's been done to death online, and I think everybody's done it. So we'll see where we go, and that's still at least another 23, 24 weeks down the road. So I'll let you know what I'm going to do there. I also have a new show I've talked about called Too Soon. Decided to push that back to September. We're going to get that just because of my work schedule and the fact that because I'm still not done with Summer of '78. It may end up a Thanksgiving show. We'll see. I'm gradually. What I did, I got to be honest, I told Dawn this. I tore up Summer of '78 completely and started from scratch about 6 months ago. It's not that I didn't like it, but I didn't feel it was as quality as I could have done. So I've been repiecing it together ever since then. I have the songs ready. I have the copy ready. Now I'm trying to put it together and give it a professional type of feel. And I hope people will enjoy it when it does finally make its appearance. Sorry about that. Whether it's Labor Day weekend or over, Thanksgiving or whatever, it'll be before the end of this year, and because I'm determined to get it up before the end of this year, because this is the 45th anniversary of the Summer of '78 right now. I'm still hoping for Labor Day. I don't know if I'll have the time. I'm also working on finishing up The Office. So we were going to do it this week, but it is so hot up here this weekend that we only have one air conditioner. It only services one room and not The Office, unfortunately. And I still have some measurements I need to fix, and I have a couple of other equipment things I want to get up. And once I do that, we will get this finished. And when I get done with it, the studio is going to look awesome. I have all kinds of new lights and all kinds of new cool stuff, and it won't be all this kind of background. It'll be a little bit different than this, for sure. But when I get it done, it'll probably premiere on I don't know, 2 weeks from today, maybe? 2 weeks from Monday or Tuesday? I don't know. And I urge you to continue to check out and keep looking. I also really glad to know that people are checking the community page. I'm active there all the time. I'm putting up questions I'm asking people, getting some responses, which is really great. I've been working on some spoken word stuff I want to do. Of course, all of you are doing the Label Nova poll. Really appreciate that. It's going to be a lot of fun to continue to interact with those in the community, and hopefully you'll continue to give me feedback on what I'm asking over there, as well as the show, which you can do through email. I also updated a couple other things you may notice in the show notes. There is, or will be, if not there this week, I don't know, it will be next week. I have a voicemail now. You can leave me a voicemail on the computer, and for the show, commenting on the show. I may play them if you send them, so be aware of that. I certainly won't play it if it's full of like F-bombs, but it may get played. And the request form for Obscuria is now an email form. Click on that. It takes you to the form. It shoots it right over to me. That's because I have trouble always getting into that Google Drive thing I have set up for it. So please, if you want to request for Obscuria, and you're more than welcome to. I can't guarantee everybody will get on. It depends on if I can clear it and how many I get. I've been doing pretty good. We've been doing a couple requests a month, and I hope that you will do so. In any case, that's all from behind the scenes this week. relatively short show. That's going to do it for today. I hope you will remember to check out all of the other shows I have going, and be back here in 7 days for all the latest news and hopefully some more acquisitions. I do have some pre-orders that I have coming in and such. Plus, I think the Vinyl Me Parton and will be here probably before the next show, or maybe the show after that. And Black Box may show up then. I've been finding a lot of good stuff on those lately, so it's been fun. I should have brought this up in behind the scenes, but I do want to call your attention to the fact that you will be seeing some shorts from me starting this coming week, a couple a day probably. They are designed to promote my channel. For those of you who don't like shorts, Glenn Calloway, I'm talking to you. You can ignore them because you're already aware of them. If you've subscribed to me and you don't like shorts, you probably are already aware of what they are. They're going to be promoting Obscuria mostly. So you don't have to watch them, and they'll be 20 seconds long. It's not a big deal. But I also will be posting some stuff on Instagram in the next week or two, and I have a few other things in the fire that I'll be announcing hopefully before the end of the month. And I hope you'll check out all the shows we have. The new schedule looks like this: on Mondays at 6 p.m. every other Monday here on TKR Video Central, as well as on Two Hip Chicks. Dawn and I do Finding Your Music Mojo. We re-hit the Karen cleaning of your vinyl on the last show. I'm not sure what we're going to do this time. I haven't made up my mind. It's my turn to host, so I haven't made up my mind what the topic will be, but it'll be forthcoming in time for the next show a week from Monday. Tuesdays is Influencers. I'll be doing, hopefully have it back up this week, as well as Vinyl Recall on Wednesday, the debut of Flashback Tracks on Thursday, Label Nova Friday, this show on Saturday, and the Radio Retro Countdown on Sunday, all at 4 p.m. And also the TKR Power Tracks 50 Countdown, Saturdays at 7 p.m. And I've been getting a lot of good feedback on that as well. People checking out artists I'm showing off there, and that's really great. And is that everything? No, the Obscuria, of course, Obscuria is Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And I hope you'll watch it. I also have been working on a couple of new ideas with my wife, and she's going to be popping up on my channel in the near future. And we'll also be doing a show together in the near future. I don't know whether it will be here or on PNR Networks. I'll let you know ahead of time. It'll probably start next month. And we're not sure if we're doing movies or wrestling yet, but it's going to be one of the two. In any case, if you haven't subscribed already, please do it. If you have, thank you. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to share out with your friends, and please, please, please leave a comment. I don't know how I'm doing without your comments, and I always enjoy reading them. I don't always answer them right away. I try to get to them within a day or two now. I've been working real hard to do that. It's kind of hard with my new schedule, but I always appreciate it, and I do see every one of them. So please don't give up. If you haven't heard from me, you will hear from me eventually. In any case, I appreciate you watching. Thank you for being here. I'm TC Kirkham for the Kirkham Report on TKR Video Central. I will see you next week. Ciao, baby.